Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
This is Rachel Dahl in for Sam Shad on Nevada Newsmakers. Today we're talking to Senator Robin Titus, who represents District 17 in the Nevada Legislature, on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Love and luck are in the air at Carson Valley Inn. $1,000 winners guaranteed every drawing night. Up to $7,500 every Saturday. And $15,000 in grand prize giveaways Friday, March 31st. It's the Love and Luck giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's huge, with clothing, power equipment, tools, and of course, hardware. Big R is located on Bering Boulevard in Sparks, next to Smith's and opposite Reed High School. Big R, hardware, and a whole lot more.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Good morning, we're on Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Rachel Dahl in for Sam Shad. We're here today with Senator Robin Titus from District 17. And you're new to the Senate, but not new to Nevada politics, not new to the legislature.
Well, thank you for having me on, Rachel. I appreciate the opportunity. And yes, indeed, this is my fifth session. So. First one in the Senate, however, but four in the Assembly. And before we even get started today, I just have to acknowledge the state workers and NDOT. I'm the county health officer for Lyon County still, and the trials and tribulations in my little county of Smith Valley and the flooding that is happening out there, and to have the workers be dedicated, working long shifts. We know they're understaffed. And just getting here today was a little bit of a challenge. We know that in Smith Valley, Wilson Canyon's flooded out. Wow. The alternative route, Mason Pass, is closed indefinitely because of mud, and we can't get around there. We drove around our valley yesterday. I have property up a little canyon called Hoy Canyon. That's closed, several mudslides there. And so just watching these water flows is challenging throughout the state, especially in northern Nevada, though. So I again want to acknowledge all the workers that are out there keeping us safe.
Thank you. I know it was a trick for you to get here this morning.
Yeah, you know, it was raining, but everything is open in this direction. It's still raining. Good. We're watching the roadside. Going home Friday, man, there was out between Holbrook Junction and Leviathan area there on 395. There was mud and water just going over the road, and it was pilot cars only. So again, I'm happy to be here. So thank you for asking me.
Coming. Yeah. So how's it been over in the Senate side this time?
Well, it's interesting. Again, this is my first session. We are fortunately still have the 8 of us in Republican senators, so we are out of the super minority. So we do have some roles that we can block some. We can sustain the governor's veto if he does veto anything, and we certainly can block any tax increases or anything that way. Policies we can't block. Again, thank you to our emergency responders. I think that's going to be in the background, and so they're working 24/7. So, but we can support the governor, and that's really going to be our role. And I like being in the Senate. I loved the Assembly also. I'm just honored to be in the building regardless of what side I'm in.
That's awesome. So talk about your district and who you represent.
So again, I tell people I pretty much have represent the demographics of the state of Nevada. I start my districts all of Douglas County, all of Lyon County, all of Churchill County, all of Mineral County, all of Esmeralda County, and part of Nye County, which was Tonopah. So again, I say I represent the Western Slope. And again, the demographics, if you think about Nevada and what we look like, I represent urban areas. And I can tell you South Lake Tahoe needs a lot of things different than what rural Esmeralda County needs. And getting out and recognizing all of that and what works for one portion of a county, even Lyon County, with cities like Fernley and Dayton and Yerington, that's different than the rural ag components.
Yeah.
So absolutely honored to meet with all folks in different areas. And right now with this incredible amount of snowpack that we have and some of these issues that are occurring, we've been very engaged in what our folks need.
Right. Talk about some of the bills you're working on this session.
So, there's bills that just change simple wording sometimes. And my first session, I had one in especially for the Fallon farmers, which talk about your water rights. You don't have to have them contiguous in order to move water from one field to the other. So simple bills that you can agree with. And then there's big bills that may or may not get heard. Election reform was a very major issue. The governor put that in his State of the State about election reform. One of the bills that I put in is to have the mail ballots returned by the last day of early voting, as opposed to being allowed 4 days after the close of the election. But you could still drop them off. I don't want to have any voters vote not count. If you take the time to vote, we only had a 54% voter turnout in this last election cycle. We had over 8,000 people who voted, but their votes were not counted because either they couldn't cure their signature in time or they arrived after the close, the 4-day period.
Right.
So I'm looking at just having them mail in that ballot at the close of early voting. And that's exactly what we used to do. You used to be able to apply for an absentee ballot, but you had to have it postmarked by the close of early voting. I'm just asking that we return to that. So we don't allow for the extra days afterwards. And even more importantly, we want everybody's vote to count who choose to vote.
Right, I like that.
Yeah, will it get a hearing? I'm working hard to get it a hearing, and we'll see. I have some healthcare bills also.
Okay.
Medicaid reimbursement for the hospital for the rural hospitals. Rural hospitals struggle to stay open. Getting reimbursed is really important. Typical reimbursement for healthcare and for any provider, Medicare reimburses about 80% of what the actual costs are. Medicaid usually follows that and sometimes even less. We're looking at getting actually true cost reimbursement.
Oh, really?
The chair of the Health and Human Services Committee on the Senate, Democrat chair, likes the bill. He's going to sponsor it with me. And as been mentioned on this program before, in order to get something passed, it's best to have both sides of the aisle support it. And a lot of the healthcare bills really aren't partisan bills, they're bipartisan.
Right.
We know in the state the access to care is terrible, and there's urban islands also, there's urban needs also that don't have providers, and so recognizing that access to health care is just critical, regardless of where you live in our state.
Right, and it's important everywhere, but you really notice it in small rural communities, because a lot of times healthcare is the anchor that brings the surrounding communities to that community. So there's a lot of reasons why it becomes important.
Right, absolutely, and there's telehealth bills and some of those. We know behavioral health. I sit on the Northern Nevada Behavioral Health Care Policy Board, and we know access to behavioral health is horrid.
Yeah.
And since COVID hit, the suicides and overdoses and some of the behavioral health issues are just tremendous. So we're looking at some of the other bills that would maybe be able to increasing the available behavioral health providers, right, and decreasing any obstacle to licensure. So occupational licensure, as our governor pointed out in his State of the State, it's horrible to try to get a license in the state sometimes.
Right.
I was on our Nevada State Board of Medical Examiners, which is the one to license medical doctors in the past. And again, it can take months and months to get a license, up to 6 months sometimes to get a license. So we're looking at some of these reciprocity bills for nursing, for physical therapists, behavioral health folks, and medical doctors, so folks can come and practice in Nevada. If they have a valid license in another state and they are in good standing, then why would they not be able to practice here? So at least give them a temporary license until we can, document. It's a public health issue. We want to make sure our citizens are safe, but at the same time, we want to be a welcoming state. We don't want to keep people out of our state if they want to come live here and practice whatever their specialty is here in the state.
That's good. That's really good.
It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Love and luck are in the air at Carson Valley Inn. $1,000 winners guaranteed every drawing night. Up to $7,500 every Saturday. And $15,000 in grand prize giveaways Friday, March 31st. It's the Love and Luck giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
How about education?
So I'm actually on the assembly side. I was never on the education committee. I was always on natural resources, healthcare committees, and then budget committees. So on the Senate side, I'm back on the money committees. I'm on HHS, but I'm also on the education committee for the first time. So after I got elected, I had to educate myself on these new counties that are represented, because I always represented Lyon and Churchill for those 4 sessions. So I had a pretty good handle, knew the superintendent of the schools there, knew the sheriffs in those counties. So after my primary win, and I had no opposition in the general, I went out and met with the Douglas County School Superintendent. I went to the Churchill County School Superintendent, the Lyon, trying to get out into the rural zone, because every county has the same needs, but they have unique needs. And so understanding what the needs are in rural Nevada counties versus what the needs are in, say, Clark and Washoe, tremendous differences, but also some of the same. I met with the Washoe County folks just Friday in my office, and I met with White Pine County folks, school folks in my office on Friday. And so understanding building needs, discipline needs, and that's one thing that's really been an issue. The teachers would really point out school safety. The violent attacks, not only on other students, but on teachers. It has to be dealt with. It has to be reined in. Teachers want to get paid more. There's not a single group of Nevada public employees that don't want to be paid more. And I understand that. I understand the vacancies and the need for maybe looking at again and reevaluating what the salaries are and reimbursement. And education is loud and clear. These folks are leaving the field. They don't want to be attacked. You know, no money will pay for somebody attacking you. I don't care how much you make. But having a reasonable reimbursement and a pay for what you do is a smart thing. And across the board, we have to look at those salaries.
Yeah, teachers are so valuable.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You have to pay them what they're
worth. Oh, absolutely. You have to pay them what they're worth and respect them. And know that they're secure when they go to work every day.
Right.
And it's been a huge issue on some of the testimonies that we hear. But also our outcomes. Our outcomes have been so bad. Our students lost so much during COVID and trying to catch up. Nevada's been 50th in most outcomes, not just education, but healthcare and anything you can look at. And we're trying to improve that. Our governor in the state of state said he's putting $2 billion more into education.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to make sure that $2 billion gets into the classroom and doesn't get in some administrative bucket, right? And so we want to make sure it does get to the teachers, it does get to the classroom. Teachers shouldn't have to bring and pay for supplies for their classroom.
Right.
So there's lots of issues we have to really delve deep into.
I've been watching a lot about the teacher retention plans, and they had an interim committee to talk about things they could do to retain teachers. How did that come out of the interim committee?
So I think it's a bill, and so we're looking at longevity and reimbursement, and we're looking at for state employees too, and I think they need to be recognized for that if they stay, but also give them the support that they need. Know that they have the support from the superintendents, they have the support from us as legislators, that we're proud that they're Nevada educated, and we want to keep them.
Right.
That's going to come forward.
Oh, good.
But I can't promise the outcome of anything, right? So what I think is potentially a good bill, and should have no opposition. Sometimes you put these bills forward and you think, gosh, this is a great bill. And when somebody comes and talks to me about the bill, I'll say, well, now who might be opposing this bill?
Right.
Look at that. Why would somebody be against this bill? Because and I usually ask the sponsor of the bill to tell me, what do you think is going to be your opposition? And sometimes you get in there in these hearings. And you didn't see that aspect, which is so important.
Yeah.
When we pass legislation, it needs to be vetted, and we need to look at all sides of it, and we need to look at the people it's going to affect, the people that are proposing it. A lot of times, sometimes people will come with a great idea. They'll put a bill forward, not recognizing the downstream consequences of the bill.
Exactly.
And so then you spend the next session trying to fix these bills.
Yeah. So are there any, is there anyone opposing the teacher retention stuff?
I think, we'll have to hear the hearing and see where that comes out. I think it's all about monies and cost.
Right. Yeah.
So when you start actually penciling in some of these things and what they cost, and certainly we certainly have some monies this year. One of my bills that I put in is to change the rainy day fund. The governor mentioned his plan on the rainy day fund, and in Nevada, and most states have a rainy day fund. And during the COVID pandemic, we had to sweep our rainy day fund, and it wasn't even clearly enough. And one of the things we're looking at as our budget has expanded, and I've been on the budget committees my entire 5 sessions, we have expanded our budget because our population has expanded. So rightly so, our budget has expanded. So the problem is with the formula for the rainy day fund, it's very convoluted. There's 3 components to that. So my rainy day bill is probably the simplest one, so we can increase the amount we can put into our rainy day fund. Because we all know this money that we have had infused from our federal government isn't going to continue.
Right.
And when that recession happens, we don't know when, but it's not an if, it's when it happens. We need to be able to cover, any good business has 3 to 6 months of monies in the bank to cover when there's a downfall. So I want to make sure that our state can be responsible. So we'll see if that gets a hearing. Working hard on that bill to try to get it a hearing.
Good.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today, we fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585, or online at nevadaheating.com.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's huge, with clothing, power equipment, tools, and of course, hardware. Big R is located on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and opposite Reed High School. Big R, hardware, and a whole lot more.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
I think we talked about all of your.
I have many other bills. Last session I had what's called AJR1, which is Assembly Joint Resolution 1 to change our Constitution. We have some crazy language in our Constitution, Nevada State Constitution, when it was written in 1864. Things like deaf and dumb were common terminology. I'm trying to take that out of our Constitution and more appropriate language on deaf and hard of hearing as opposed to deaf and dumb. And that passed through, had a hearing on the Assembly side. In order to change the Constitution, a bill has to have the same language, pass through two separate sessions, and then go to the ballot and be voted on. Right. So hopefully that will get out, and that one is coming forward. And then I have one for trying to get the right language on DUI, third offense on driver under an influence, third offense with a death. Right now, there's no consequences to that other than, yes, you have automatic jail time, but that can be in a work camp. It doesn't have to be in a jail. So we're trying to work on some of that wording with some DAs involved there. We have, again, the mail ballot, and I have another one with Assemblywoman Dickman on changing balloting and voting all across the board. So some of those I signed on. There's water bills with Pico Cachia.
Oh, okay.
There's even though we have a rainy day out there, there's actually 16 different bills, half on the Assembly, half on the Senate, that have the term water in them. And water is a huge issue in the state of Nevada, and although we have lots of it right now, we have our droughts, and then we have these rainy years, and people, we need to understand how to save that water, what's best to use water. We're going to have an excess amount of water this year, and we need to be able to put it places, but that's not going to change in the next couple of years when we have our drought. So we need to be smart about our water, so that's something we're going to be addressing both sides of the aisle and in both houses.
Okay. So 16 water bills.
16 different bills out there have the word water on them.
Wow. Is there a groundwater one for?
There is a groundwater one, several groundwater ones, and one of what our state engineer can do with our groundwater, and then water management plans.
Okay.
Groundwater management plans, and who can negotiate them, junior rights versus senior rights, and so that's going to be, we'll see if that gets a hearing or not. So a lot of stuff we have to wait until they get a hearing, and if they don't get a hearing, we shouldn't be spending too much time on them. So we'll see what goes through, and if it comes to a hearing or not.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know we kind of tore through this morning to get you to your committee.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we have our budget committees go on, and we're probably going to start working some Saturdays because, as you know, this session was closed for 3 days, and so that puts us behind. We only meet 120 days. That's a hard stop time, and we have to have the budgets passed by hard dates. And so this Saturday we'll be back in trying to hear these budgets and get this stuff passed. This is something we are mandated. The only thing we are mandated to do as the legislative body is pass the budget.
Pass the budget. There you go.
So,
well, I appreciate you serving and putting yourself in this position and your family support. And
well, it's honored. I'm honored to be there.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
for coming today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Nevada Newsmakers.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
Snorkel personnel lifts are engineered beyond the industry norm to an uncommon level of safety and durability, and with an eye towards sustainability. They're also designed to be simple to operate and maintain. Snorkel, always at the cutting edge of progress.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.